Well, welcome to the Monday Tip Podcast presented by Fully Funded Life. My name is Joe Sengel, and we're committed to helping you live a fully funded life. I'm joined today by my podcast co-host, Megan Hibbard. Are you fired up on this Monday?
Fired up.
Happy Monday. We're sitting here. If you're not watching on YouTube, you really should every now and then. We're actually sitting in a more relaxed environment. We're just having a chat about the topic.
Yes.
And today, the topic is?
Yes. So today we're talking about the psychology of money, overcoming barriers to financial success.
That's a big title. We're going to talk about the psychology. So today, the doctor is in. Megan and I are both pretend doctors, and we're going to talk about the psychology of money and overcome the mental barriers to financial success and solving all financial anxiety. Actually, we can't do that, but we do have some experience in the area of helping people navigate the challenges of barriers to financial success. So we're going to give you some tips today. We hope you find them very helpful. Megan, will you share the first one?
Yep. All right. So the first one we're talking through is listen to how you say things when you talk about money.
Yeah.
You might not know it, but the way that you say things really communicates a lot about how you think and how you process stuff and how you feel about things.
Have you ever had that moment where you feel like you're a third party listening to your voice speak?
Yes, it is weird.
It is a weird thing, but that's really what we're asking people to do.
Yeah.
To listen to yourself talk. Like I'm focused on it right now. Maybe you are just kind of weird.
It's like an out-of-body experience.
Yeah. But how you say things really speaks. It's out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh.
Yeah.
Isn't that the King James Version? And that is the truth. So what are some negative ways that we've heard people talk about money? They say statements. There's some statements we want you to listen for.
Yep. So as you're listening, maybe you've said these, maybe you don't know you're saying them, but you are saying them.
I've said them.
Yeah, I've said them too. So the first one we're going to talk about is we can't afford that.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this a lot in different podcast episodes, but it's so easy for people to say, I can't afford that, or I can't do that. I can't afford that. I could never, X, Y, or Z.
I was riding in the truck the other day with a buddy, and he said, we can't afford it. And I about wrecked. And I just wanted to start preaching, but he didn't need to hear it. But the fact is, when you say we can't, it's a limiting statement. A better way to say it is how. You may find yourself saying, we could never do that, or my spouse won't do that. But you've got to listen to how you say things, because it really reveals a mindset. It reveals the psychology of the repetitive thoughts that you're having. And really, that's birthed out of feelings. And so that's the second thing we wanted to share, is that you got to pay attention to those inner feelings.
Right. Yep.
And there are a lot of feelings
when it comes to money
that we feel when we think about money. And there's good feelings. There's bad feelings. List some of the good and bad feelings that you've experienced.
So maybe you feel, when you think about money and these barriers, maybe you feel anger, frustration, humiliation, stress, anxiety,
sad.
Those all can come together. But there's also this other side too. So maybe it's opportunity, potential, energy, excitement, enthusiasm. Maybe you have those too. And we were talking before, as we're writing these notes, sometimes you almost have both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
How do you manage that tension?
Yeah, I mean, you can get all excited for something, and then the next thing you know is your spouse went and spent that money. Now you feel anger.
Yeah.
Or you spent the money on something, and now a new opportunity shows up that you really want to take advantage of. You didn't know it existed. Now you feel sad.
Yeah.
Or maybe you made a really bad mistake and invested in something that went to zero, and now you feel humiliated. There's all these different complex feelings. And if you've never watched the movie from Disney called Inside Out, which I went to watch this kid's Disney movie and ended up walking away introspectively saying, what type of core lock memories am I giving my children? But the issue is, you've got to pay attention to these inner feelings. We're talking about the psychology, because if you're going to overcome barriers, you better know the barriers you're facing yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And if you've felt the feelings of anger, frustration, humiliation, stress, anxiety, sadness, sorrow, if you've had what I call the sweaty upper lip syndrome, the flush factor where your neck gets hot and it feels like somebody turned up the fiery furnace and it's like I'm looking around and I see 3 figures walking around and there's a fourth likened to the Son of God, right? It's like the fiery furnace experience and you're in the fire. Hey, welcome to the human race and welcome to the challenges of balancing things and figuring out how to be a mom, a dad, a household keeper-upper, a job employee, a business leader, a community helper, a volunteer, and all the things. And so we want to help you overcome those. So let's share some of the biggest ways we've seen people overcome those barriers.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones is have wise counsel. So you have somebody that you can talk to about it. You have somebody who is ahead of you in the season. You know, you're not talking to somebody who's broke. That's not going to help.
Yeah.
You're talking to somebody who's financially stable, who's in surplus, who is, you know, has done some of the things that you have you're struggling to do. You know, maybe you are struggling to create a budget. We'll talk to somebody who has a budget.
Yeah. Wisdom is born out of what? Lots of experience and lots of experience. Hey, listen, I would just tell you right now, successful people have failed more than anybody. They've just continued to get back up and you want to learn from them. Proverbs 15:22, great verse in the Bible. The book of Proverbs says the plans of it actually says plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. And this is one reason why we have coaches in our fully funded life program where you can have unlimited coaching.
Right.
You can be signed up for 2 coaching appointments at any time to help you talk to a human who's winning with money and can help you address some of these negative feelings. What are some other ways we could do that?
Yep. Okay. So the next one, maybe prayer and meditation. So prayer, huge. You know, we're bringing our requests to the Lord. We're laying them down at his feet. We're, you know, trying to release those. But maybe meditation, maybe you like to do yoga. Maybe you like to you go for a run. You know, I know you like to run. It's a time when your mind can kind of, you know,
whenever I go run, I will pray and meditate.
Yeah.
And, you know, the prayer starts with the things that are on my mind of that day. And by the time I'm done running, I'm just praying that I can stop running. But prayer and meditation are hugely important because you are cutting off the outside thoughts and you're intentionally focusing on the challenges, the issues, and the gratefulness that you are experiencing in your own life. I love a passage of scripture in the book of Revelation. I believe it's in chapter 8, where John the Revelator he said that there is a bowl of incense and the vapors are the prayers of the saints. And I think that's great that, you know, the Lord loves our prayers and it is a sweet smelling aroma to him. And you should do that. If you really want to overcome this, hey, even if you're not a person of faith, meditation, that moment of quiet, really huge. And then we encourage you to take a step. And that step may be 2 inches forward. But as you take steps and repeat it, you know, what do they say? The journey of 10,000 steps begins with taking a single step. I think I messed that up somehow. Maybe it's the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, something like that. But really what I'm saying is repetition creates some momentum in the right direction. It's huge.
Yeah. I mean, you think through things that you do now that the very first time you did them, you were terrified to do them. You know, for you, maybe it's an investment property that you buy. The first time you did it, you were terrified. Now you're not.
Shaking in my boots.
And maybe it's for you, maybe it's a budget. You know, the first time you created a budget, you didn't know what you were doing. You didn't know all the expenses you were going to have. You were unsure. But now you're a year in, 6 years in, 6 months in, whatever it is, you know, now
you're a pro.
Yeah, because you practice and you continue to create that repetition of every month you're doing something, you know.
It's huge.
No.
But one thing I want to say is you must address the issues. You've got to address the issues. I mean, Megan, how many times have we had people write in, talk to us, send notes? You know, they've got outstanding debt. They've got bankruptcy that they're dealing with. They've got a spouse that is astray. They're swiping the credit cards like crazy. They've got stuff about ready to avalanche on them and they can't stop materialistic purchasing.
Yep.
And all they do is talk about the challenges. They've got to address the issues. They've got to do it.
Yeah.
And that can be a huge mental hurdle.
I think there's freedom in it, and there's freedom in, imagine that day when you're debt free. Imagine that day when you're not talking about bankruptcy. Imagine the day when you and your spouse are on the same page. There's freedom in talking about it. So this goes back to the wise counsel. Maybe you're talking to
it's so huge.
Maybe you need to go to counseling and talk through the deeper issues.
I've watched shows that are fascinating to me. Maybe you've watched them on A&E. I've watched My 600 Pound Life with Dr. Nas, and I've watched Hoarders. And sometimes I just want to communicate to those of you feel you're so deep in that you're just covered by the avalanche. What is Dr. Nas? What are the doctors that are available to those that have the experience of hoarding? They're so deep into it. They have no idea how to navigate out of it.
Yeah.
And that is where professional counsel is so important. So we do encourage you, if you feel like you're so deep in, you need to go get professional counseling, because you will remain stuck if you do not get that professional help that can help identify what caused it and helps you navigate your way out of it. As we wrap it up, maybe we could share our biggest hurdles, briefly. What's been your biggest mental barrier financially? And then I'll share mine.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it's that I can't afford this mentality. So it's, it's a house you're looking at or a car, and you're like, well, I can't afford that. And then it's almost like something clicks and you're like, wait, let's take a minute. Let's work through it. Okay, this is how much it is. This was how much, like a house. This is how much it would be monthly. Okay, we actually can afford that. We can do this, and we can have this because we have positioned ourselves in a way. But it's that instant, we can't afford that. That's this much money. We're never going to be able to do that, But it's when you have to take that moment where you break that mental. I had somebody explain it to me one time, is like, your brain is like, think about it like a sand, and your thoughts are coming down like a marble, and you have to literally push the marble back up and create a new path. And it's like, that's hard to do, but you're having to create that new path that says, I can't afford that. The marble's running down. No, you push it back up. No, I can. And here's how here's how we're going to afford that, Good.
And I know a lot of people who every day they have some written statements and they read them. It's the old fashioned Michael Jordan Saturday Night Live. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like me, as you're talking to yourself in the mirror. I would just say my biggest mental barrier with money has been, always will be, and continues to be impulsiveness. And I've contained it with a budget. I've constrained it with a saver spouse. And with Matt Sams as our CFO. But I will just say, we all will continue to deal with these, but we've overcome them, and you can too. And so we really encourage you. You can take your next step, address your issues, get professional help where needed. More than anything, we want you to be able to succeed. And it's going to take outside counsel, really good, solid, ongoing counsel that will really help you get to where you want to go. Hey, we love helping you navigate all the challenges of money and help you live a fully funded life. I encourage you to check out becoming a member of our community at fullyfunded.life. Have a great week, everybody. Hey everybody, Joe Sangl here. Thanks so much for watching this video. Hey, I encourage you to click the links that are provided to watch a lot of more helpful content that'll help you live your fully funded life. Thanks for being a part of our community.